Hello, welcome to Now Tell Us. Now, this is an episode where we invite guests to come and tell us something, tell us interesting stories, give us a highlight of on an important topic or educate us on something. And we are always having great guests. And today, still like all the other days, we have a great guest with us. And since this is Now Tell Us, and the guests are the ones that tell us, I'm going to invite our guest today, and she's gonna tell us. Her name is Stacy McAlpine. Welcome to the show, Stacy.
Hello, good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are on the planet.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you here, and we are delighted to see you
Ditto. Likewise, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
and excited to what we are going to know today as you share us on a life, living a life you love waking up to, rather.
Yeah, sounds good.
Um, mhm. Where are you? And if I may ask, maybe are you waking up or are you sleeping right now?
It's probably a little of both. It's about 9:20 my time, so I guess I'm awake by now. But I'm
Mhm.
out in the state of California in Palos Verdes, a little peninsula that sticks out in Southern California. And I'm originally from California, was on the East Coast for about 14 years, and then made it back to California about 7 years ago. So enjoying the life out here.
Okay, that's good. And how was it growing up in California? Some of us only get to hear it in the songs.
Right? Yeah, it's a little bit of spoiled living. I was born in San Diego, where the most you ever really need is a windbreaker, maybe.
Hmm.
Pretty consistent weather. And then I lived up north in the Sacramento area, which is got a little bit more weather. Went to Berkeley, where it's again a different little bit of weather. So the state has a bunch of different weather patterns, but now I'm back down in Southern California, and it's I don't know if you've ever seen that movie LA Story with Steve Martin where he's the weatherman and it's
Hmm.
just always sunny and he never bothers to actually look at the weather. He just said, "Today it'll be 75."
Yeah.
Pretty consistent. So, yeah, I enjoy it out here. It's great.
Mm.
Expensive, but I tell my girls I have two daughters that, the price out here is included in the life you get to love. So, it's
Mm.
part of the deal.
Oh, wonderful. And now, since you live in a place that is so, I mean, sunny place is an advanced place. Are there times in your life, especially when you're growing up, that you woke up and thought, "Oh, I'd rather go back to sleep because this life is just boring."
Oh, yeah. Been
Uh-huh.
there.
Hmm.
Sure.
How was it? Tell us a few. I mean, like going to school and growing up, experiences that you may have come across. A
Yeah,
few. Yeah,
so
stories.
I'm an only child, and so did a lot of single player games that you can't cheat at, like Yahtzee and Mad Libs, where you can fill it out and then fill in the main one. Found the little things. I was the teacher and the student when I was playing school, but I've always had, I guess you could call it a blessed life in terms of being cared for and had good friends and all that jazz. And as I was growing up, I was always on a college path. I went to Berkeley, lived there for a little while, moved back. Then I got married when I was about, oh gosh, 26. We had dated since I was 22. So didn't date much until after the divorce. And had to learn how to date almost for the first time, certainly as a real life adult. But yeah, so I got married when I was 26. And then he was going to law school. So that's what got me to the East Coast. He went to go to GW, George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And so we moved across the country. We were supposed to be there for about 3 years, and it turned into 14. So I had always wanted to come back. I never really 100% felt at home out there, but it's a beautiful place. I mean, the monuments and it's neat to have seasons and things like that. But while I was in law school was probably the harder time was when I was married. He was in law school, so I was the only one working full time. The stepdaughter who was in high school, And working in consulting, I've been a consultant for the last 20 years in big four consulting firms doing process improvement, change management, project management, which basically just means doing things for large organizations that have never been done before or are complicated and they just want someone else to come in and make sure that the results are delivered, and all the change that has to happen from doing something one way to doing it another, which is really what created the organization that I'm building, Journey Fuel, which I can share a little bit about. But just to finish the story, so I was out on the East Coast, being my one income, stepdaughter raising, wife of a full time law student, which they're pretty absorbed in their studies, and working 50 to 60-hour weeks, and just it was a high pressure job, and it was just a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had my little one, well, who's now my older one, but she was probably about 4 at the time. I had another one on the way, and it was a lot.
Okay.
And I just was really overwhelmed. Life kind of felt like purgatory, to be honest. Like, it literally felt like, okay, what did I do that made it so that now I'm just in this living hell? Like, what do I need to do to get out of purgatory? I just didn't
Mm-hmm.
really see much of a light at the end of the tunnel. I was in super credit card debt, living in an upside down mortgage. And it was just, I didn't really see how to get out of a scenario like that. And went on antidepressants, like the whole nine. And then it just got to where I just knew, like, I just can't keep going like this. It just is, life was just a drag. It was not fun to wake up to. And I mean, I was never suicidal, but I was just really, really, really unhappy, overwhelmed. And I just got to where I just needed to do something different. So I started different programs. I'd always been a personal development nerd. So
Mm-hmm.
as I say, with all love and endearing meaning and intention for all of those out there that love to learn and try and live the best possible life, find a way to really enjoy the time we have. And I just wasn't living it. And so I realized that, I'd make change for these giant organizations around the planet, yet I'm not making change in my own life. What if I started applying what I do for my giant clients to my own life and
Mm-hmm.
incorporate what it is that I want out of life with how to use the tools and techniques that I was doing for my clients? And that's when it all clicked. That's when it came together. And so that's where the missing puzzle piece was, that I realized through my own experience that by adding that in, I was able to start to live the things that I was saying I wanted to do, but wasn't doing, or just was flat out overwhelmed and didn't really know exactly what I wanted. But I had the skill set from when I'm working with my clients to help my clients get to clarity. So as I applied those more and more to myself, I started to see the change. So fast forward, now it's, probably, I keep saying 10 years, so it's maybe 12 or 15 or more
Mm-hmm.
since then. And about a couple of years ago, I got to a point where I really had refined it enough that I felt like I want to help other people. I can help other people, not just companies, but individuals that
Mm-hmm.
know they want something better out of life. That, we wake up, and the people that feel like, here we go again, who get up and get going out of, you know, um, obligation to other people, but not to do things that they really enjoy. And that's where I came up with what I now use as my mission statement with my company, Journey Fuel, which is to help people live lives they love waking up to. Because it's that moment when you wake up and you open your eyes, and that feeling that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the difference between dreading and actually enjoying my life. And it doesn't mean, jumping out of bed in the
Yeah.
morning. People will say, what would you want to do to be able to jump out of bed in the morning? Well, I don't necessarily need to jump out of bed. I just want to wake up with joy, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Meaning that you
so,
have a beautiful day ahead, I guess.
yeah.
I've always had this phrase. Someone says that If you're not building your dream, then you're busy helping another person build their own. And this is
Yep,
the point that you came to and realized, oh, I'm not building my dream, I'm helping other people build their own. And
yep,
you looked at the tools you are using and realized, hey, this I can also use to build my own.
exactly. Yeah,
Mhm,
exactly. And I realized that, having been immersed in the personal development world of, the Stephen Coveys, the Tony Robbins, the Chris Howards, all of those, right? The Brennan Burchards, Brene Brown, you hear all these things.
mhm,
And it's not that we don't believe in what they're saying necessarily,
yeah.
but we're not trained in how to make change happen. And so a lot of times we'll learn things. And what I learned in my professional career around change management is you can get certified in change management by a company called ProSci, PROSCI, which is not really relevant necessarily, but just it's one of the largest, most renowned organizations on the planet for certifying professionals in how to bring change to organizations.
Mm-hmm.
And they use a simple acronym that I share with the people that do my programs called ADKAR. It's ADKAR. And what that stands for is awareness, knowledge, awareness, desire, knowledge, um, ability, and reinforcement. And
Okay.
it is absolutely a linear process. I mean, it's really not a parallel necessarily, or one and ahead. You can't do one thing up here and then go backwards to do the other thing. Like you need to
Mm-hmm.
start with awareness. Awareness is the most important element of really understanding why change is going to be made, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
why is change going to happen? What is it about? How is it going to benefit each individual? So whether you're changing the lives of 250,000 people in a company or one individual, it all comes back down to change and action on
Mm-hmm.
each person's, requirement and their role in the organization. Everybody individually needs to change. So it's about inspiring change from all kinds of people that are of different minds, of different elements of the process and where they are. So understanding what is the desired outcome and how is that going to benefit me as an individual, and that awareness of what it is that where we are now and where we want to be before you can really build true desire. That's the most important part, is understanding, well, why do you want something to be different in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what is happening in your life, right? Like what is and isn't the way you want it to be,
Yeah.
or even just what do you want it to be, right? To build
Mm-hmm.
desire to change, if we get stuck in, I just want something other than what I have now, like I don't know what I want to be different, I just know I don't want how I feel now,
Mm-hmm.
and so one of the other principles that I teach, that's foundational. I have a program called Walk the Talk Weekend. So walking the talk, right? Like how do we know what it is that we know we want something different, but how do we actually walk that desire talk, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's all about the easiest thing, and everybody who's listening can do this very simply, is how do I feel now and how do I want to feel instead? You don't have to know what you want instead. You don't have to know what the big purpose of everything is. It's how do I want to feel instead? And it's not just to not feel like this,
Yeah.
but if I'm sad, it's not, I just don't want to be sad anymore, because that doesn't give you any direction, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's, well, how do I want to feel instead? I want to feel joy. So then you can start to think about, well, why do I want to feel joy? And what if I don't feel joy? What's life going to be like? And that starts to build in the desire, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then when you have that desire and you know that you want that instead, that's the D, right? How do you really build that in and really get that clarity and certainty that that's what you really want? And then comes knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And so many of us will read, every book that's out there, go to all these programs, do all these things and learn, but we haven't really built the awareness or are still trying to understand what the desire is.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are, it's human. Like we don't pick up on everything, right? Our brains filter. And
Yeah.
so when we're learning new things out of knowledge, we're only picking up certain pieces. So if your brain isn't primed with what to listen for, or really understanding why you want to listen to the whole thing and be present, then you're not going to pick up on as much. So when you're skipping these steps straight to knowledge, you're going to skip what's going to get you to the action part, right? And then there's not just knowledge, it's the ability. So it's
Okay.
knowing what you need to know, and then it's training yourself, getting the tools and techniques, which is where a lot of the tools that I teach come in, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
I embed them along the way that people don't really feel like they're going through a process, but I apply the same techniques that I use with my, big giant clients, with just helping people walk through that awareness. I kind of associate it with like a snow globe. When you shake a snow globe and the snow is everywhere, and it's just a matter of letting this. How do you get the snow to settle, right? Sometimes you just have to get the snow to settle. Stop long enough to get it to settle. So that's the first thing that I do in my programs, is just to get to the snow settling, to get to the awareness, to get to where you have some desire to create the change, and then teach how to do it, right? And then the actual tools that give you the ability to do it. And when you have that, what resources do you need in place to really build that ability? Because
Mm-hmm.
we can have to do it on our own, right? Like, what resources do we have that can help us build that? And then reinforcement, which is super important too. So each letter of the ADKAR acronym is incredibly important, and reinforcement is what keeps us going. And that's where the name Journey Fuel for my company really stems from, is that life's a journey. We hear that, and the fuel to keep going is where, it's like a car, right? We have a car that can take us on this journey, but if we run
Yeah.
out of gas, you're not going to get very far, or it's going to take so much effort. If we can put it in neutral, right, and have somebody push us or try and push ourselves forward, but you're not going to get very far, and you're just going to exhaust yourself. So having that fuel to keep us going is really what that reinforcement piece is, reminding
Mm-hmm.
ourselves of how to keep things in your face. What are some of the things you can do to build in that can be your safety net if you're not on track, if you fall off the wagon
Yeah.
of living that life, right? So all of that to say that it really is more simple than we realize. When you think about it, really just comes down to feelings. When you think about life, it's just a collection of feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is, right? We're experiencing life,
Yeah.
and the experience is made of how we're feeling. And so by bringing it down to the basics of how do I feel and how do I want to feel instead, then you have power to, and why, right? Then you have the power and the knowledge to be able to start to build out that path for, well, what's something I can do right now that'll get me closer to how I want to feel instead.
Okay. And then we have this person who's always saying, "One day I will," and or "This is something that I need to do, and I should do
Yeah.
this thing." How do you address those people? How do you tell them to come to their senses or realize? I mean, this could be in their awareness, but maybe you have a better way of
Yeah.
putting it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the infamous shoulds and needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to, I need to, I should. Um, and I want to is the most important shift.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bad words list, if you will, in Journey Fuel, and should is on there, need is on there, have to is on there. I mean, you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a very famous, like a pyramid. It's that pyramid where it shows you the bottom is safety, like basic human needs
Yeah.
are food and water, right? And you need that before you can get to the next, really have all your needs met. So
Mm-hmm.
there's the food and water, then there's safety, And you need those two things at the bottom before you can get to the relationship stage and the intimacy relationship stage. And then there's the next piece of fulfillment, like of being, having that feeling of achievement
Mm-hmm.
and pride and that level. And then at the top is self-actualization. So there are needs, those are human needs, but until we want to build in what we have to meet those needs, that goes back to desire, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of knowing that, okay, do I have to go to the gym? Or do you want to go to the gym? No, I don't want to go to the gym. Well, why is it that you feel that you need to or you should go to the gym? Oh, because I want to lose weight. Oh, so you want to lose weight. Okay. So if gym is not, what you want, is there another way that you can lose weight? Oh, well, I need to do this, or I should do that. Or, so you just keep following that line of reasoning. Well, why do you need to do that? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
because of this. Well, I want to have this. Then you're starting to get back to the want, right? The awareness of
Yeah.
where's the want in all of this, and that need to and the should. And if that comes before the want, it's backwards, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you really know. It's not that you don't know, it's just excavating that out of the lines that you keep telling yourself, the things that we're continuously telling us. Oh, you're not doing this, you're being lazy, or why don't you do this? Or we start to judge ourselves, but we're just not living the process that works, from a just human nature, science. If we have awareness and desire, build the desire, then we can get to knowing how we can get to that next piece. So
Mm.
you can really use all those tools to be able to get there. So to answer your question most directly would be, well, why? Your question to them is, well, why do you want that? And then just to keep going, there's a technique called the 5 whys. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's a technique that is used in brainstorming or trying to do new things, and or getting down to the root of whatever the symptom is. And if you ask typically by the 5th why, you'll have the real reason that it comes down to, of what's
Tell
the
us the
root.
why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The whys.
Yeah.
Tell us. Mm-hmm.
Say that one more time. I think you broke up. I don't know if it was my side, or say that
Yeah, I'm
again.
saying you. I'm saying you tell us the whys. The whys. The
Yeah,
five
the
of
five
them.
whys. Yeah, the 5 whys. That's just saying, so you're asking yourself why up to 5 times. And usually by the time you ask yourself why. So so let's do an example. So you tell me something that you hear a lot from people that we can just role play for a second. Like if you were to say, I'll ask you questions. So pretend you feel like you should go to the gym, right? So I'll ask
Mm-hmm.
you why. So in your case, what
Because
would your answer be?
yeah, because I want to stay healthy.
Oh, so you want to stay healthy. Why do
Mm-hmm.
you want to stay healthy?
So maybe I can live much longer
Oh, so you want to live longer. Why do you want to live longer?
and to enjoy this life and see my grandchildren.
Okay, awesome. So now you know why you want to have a more healthy life, right? So it
Mm-hmm.
took us, I think, 4 whys. And you could even, go another layer deeper if you wanted to, if you wanted to take it to another. But so now you've gone from I should go to the gym to I want to live a healthier life and enjoy my grandchildren, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter, and what if you don't? What if you don't get to live the long enough to be with your grandchildren? Is another technique you can add on top of that. So Tony Robbins has said, we don't change to receive pleasure, we change to avoid pain. So
Okay.
if something sounds great, like, oh, I want to have this great body, but there's no real pain. Like if, let's say, well, if I have the donut, I'm not going to die today. It might, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. Right. But
Mm-hmm.
if the trade-off is, well, when I do that, I am reducing the odds of me being able to be alive long enough to meet and with my grandchildren, right? If I don't get to be there, then this is going to happen. Or let's say I just even more immediately eat the donut, then you feel like crap. Then your energy is, tanked. And then if your
Mm-hmm.
energy is tanked, then everything else in life just is a little less shiny. It just feels a little harder.
Yeah.
So the more we can get down to why do we want it and what if we don't do it, and how can we use that to empower us and like give us that fuel to find a way that we do want, to do that outcome. So now you know the outcome, you know what the awareness is. You're aware of the fact that you want to be able to live long enough and play with your kids, your grandkids, and like have energy every day and enjoy life. And if you don't do it, if you don't have that, what's life like? And then how do you build that into a desire? Well, this is what I want my life to be like. This is what I want to feel instead. So
Mm-hmm.
what can I do, right? And start to come up with some ideas. And what are 3 ways that I could have that feeling? So if you bring it back to a feeling, what feeling do you think you would get from going to the gym? If it's a boring feeling, then that's not that exciting, right? Oh, well, I'll be proud of myself. Okay, well,
Yeah.
how do you feel and how do you want to feel instead? Well, I just want to feel more energetic. So maybe it's not the gym. Maybe it's, well, what are 3 things you could do to feel more energetic? Maybe it's not the gym. So now you're focused on the real meaning of what it is that you want and you want your life experience to be. And it's no longer a focus on this one thing that you think you should do. There could be other ways to do it. And we get so stuck on the should or the need or other people telling us, oh, you got to join me in this class. Well, I don't want to go to that class. That doesn't sound fun to me,
Mm-hmm.
But maybe going to the class isn't about health. Maybe it's about enjoying that person. So it's no longer about going to the gym. It's about being a good friend. It's why do you want to do it versus why are you feeling this should, and getting to the bottom of it.
Okay. Now we come to the people that you reach out to and the one that you help. How do
Yeah.
you work with them, and what results do they experience? Those that you've been working with.
Oh, it's so rewarding. I feel so just grateful that I'm at a place where I can focus my time on helping people live lives they love, wake up to. It's just amazing. It starts with my trademark program or foundational program that all people that will ever work with me or be on my journey or maybe on their journeys go through Walk the Talk weekend. And so it's a 2.5-day program. And that's where we do, each day is a different theme. So the first day is all about getting clarity. So letting the snow settle, right? And getting really clear on what is it that you want the experience of life to be. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not about like, what's your purpose or, what do you want? Because that can get us all frozen. It's just, what is the experience that you want to have in life? And get super crystal clear. And then we get to certainty. And uncertainty is where we get more and more resilient, and it becomes a non-negotiable about what are the 7 things, we call it the core 7 values or treasures, or, what are the things that you value most, and how can you create that into a non-negotiable in your life? Like, how do you line your life up with those, and everything else is no longer part of your life? Do that. And, what does that look like? What are those things? And then the last activation, which is when we say, okay, now you've got clarity, you've got certainty. Now this is how you're going to implement it. And to watch people go through each day it's amazing. And every program, I do them maybe every couple months. Every program has different people in it. So each group of people, it's super engaging, super immersive. It's on Zoom, so you can join from anywhere on the planet. But everyone that's gone through it's like, I can't believe we were on Zoom for 8 hours today. It didn't feel like it. Like, it felt like we were really engaged, and it's very interactive. So I'm interacting with each person throughout the program. And so, but each person will kind of jive off another person or learn something from someone else. And so it
Mm-hmm.
just becomes like this community by the end. And so now they have a community of people that they really feel are supporting them, or you're like your people, the ones that can inspire you, or you've ended up creating your own ripple effect, inspiring them, right? But by the end, you can just see their eyes just light back up. And
Mm-hmm.
then I've gotten, testimonials. You can go to walkthetalkweekend.com. On there, it's got testimonials of people that have gone through it, but it's now they're more clear on what is the direction that they want to go in, and how to simplify that in such a way that it's literally a simple adjustment of how to align your life now with only what matters, and let the rest kind of fall away, and how to do that. And it's amazing. And I have programs that come after that, where after they've had that experience, I have a program called Love and Life Accelerator, which, now that you have that foundation, right? Everybody goes through Walk the Talk Weekend. Now the accelerator program is, okay, now let's take that and build more capacity for change in your life. Because if you change everything at once, it's just too much. It's overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? So based
Mm-hmm.
on where each person is individually, where is it that you are, and where do you want to be in 2022, or within the next 6 months, and how do we map that out in a way that now you can see your path. And then all you have to do by the end, or all that you get to do, is just walk. So walking your talk is simple, because we've now mapped out, okay, here's what you want, you've got clarity on that, here's what we're going to do for 2022, or whatever that time period is, for 6 months, and this is how you are going to take action to get that in a way that you're full on, like, motivated and believe in. And so those are what those different programs are. And then I have other programs around where I do annual coaching and group events, and called where I do different types of coaching and go on cool retreats, and yeah, so it's really neat. Everybody has their own outcome, and it's their outcome. That's the best part, is it's what they saw for their lives, and understanding and believing that it's possible, and that they're actually in it before the weekend is over. And it's just amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah. And what kind of people do you work with? Do you have a specific group kind of person that you'd like to connect with you?
Yeah, so it's anybody who is living a life they don't love waking up to,
Mm-hmm.
and really wants to turn a life of shoulds into a life of wants.
Yeah.
And it's a full spectrum of different people. It really is more about, where are you in your life, and how do you want life to feel, and are you ready to go from how you're feeling now to know how you want to feel instead, and how to get into that process in a way that doesn't feel like a should. I
Mm.
translate all the language that we use. Language is very powerful. It's like hearing the right quote at the right time, using different terminology. So instead of saying, oh, the strategy, we'll talk about, the map, or we'll talk about, instead of goals, we talk about destinations, or instead of measures, we'll talk about a dashboard. So we relate it all to life's journey,
Mm-hmm.
and use language that is empowering. One person in one of my programs, I use the term values, and that turned him off for some reason. Like, he had done values stuff in the past, and he's like, I don't know. I was like PTSD about that word or something. So we translated into treasures. So what do you
Okay.
treasure? So now it totally cleared that block for him. So now it's not about values. It's like, what do I treasure? What do I treasure most?
Mm-hmm.
So you can change it to whatever works for you, but it comes down to, what is the experience that you want to have, and helping you translate that into what's going to inspire you and motivate you to want to change, and know what that change looks like, and create that path in a way that's fun and engaging, and it's like pulling you, instead of you having to push yourself, or getting someone else to push you along the way. So it's really, people who've retired and are looking for something new, and don't know I've had a
Mhm.
couple people or a larger group of people around that have just retired and want to build a business or don't know what they want, but know that they've lived their lives and still haven't full on hit fulfillment.
Mhm.
People who are kind of into that 40s stage where you care less about what other people think and want more of what you want, but you don't know what you want
Yeah.
because you've been doing what other people want for so long. So it's really whether it's you want to live a life that is different from you're living now, if it's you want more passion, if it's you just don't know what is next for you, or you just love learning how to make the best out of life. Those are all the types of people that have joined Journey Fuel programs and love to work with.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And that goes to all the viewers and all the listeners. We thank you for staying tuned. And let me mention Peter Karanja. Thank you for the thumbs up, and everyone else who may be watching us out there, or those who get to listen after we are through. And we are almost coming to the end of the show. Now, remind us, please, Stacy, the best way that people can reach you.
Yeah, so for your audience, I want to gift everyone who's listening 2 tickets to Walk the Talk weekend at no cost. So it's an $897 program, but if they go to journeyfuelgift.com, or you could go to walkthetalkweekend.com, either one of those will work.
Mm-hmm.
And when you sign up, just put the source. So put the name of your program in there as the
Mm-hmm.
source. And then I'll know where you guys came from, and you'll get the 2 tickets for the program for free. So you can go and you can bring a friend or someone else that you know wants a little bit more out of life or needs a little bit of oomph in their lives, and you can have them join you. So that's the simplest, easiest, fastest way, not just to get to reach out to me, but also to take action on having a life you love waking up to automatically by just signing up there. You could also go to at your journey fuel on Facebook, but I really encourage you to go to walkthetalkweekend.com, sign up, get the 2 free tickets, and just really give yourself the gift of living life you love waking up to.
Wow, that's so kind of you. We really appreciate your gift to those people who are going to follow up on it. They are going to really benefit. And she said, you mention us. Yes, mention us. We are Now Tellers, and we are found at www.nowtellers.com. So,
Awesome.
thank you very much, Stacy. But before you go, we always ask our guests to leave us with something, a few words that we should
Yeah.
always remember.
Yeah. To always remember is that we are in control of the experience of life that we want to have. And it's a matter of knowing what feeling you're having right now. It's simple. You tap into your own heart and you have your own resource to know, how am I feeling now? And ask yourself, how do I want to feel instead? And just take one step. What's one thing I can do that can get me closer to that feeling? And just keep using that as a technique and a tool, and have that one thing be something you want to do, and keep getting, at least 3 ways that you can get there until you find the one that you want to take that next step, and it'll happen. And just one
Mm.
question.
Wow, thank you for that. We really appreciate. And we appreciate you taking your time and being with us on this podcast. And we wish you all the best in everything. And yeah, that's about it for today.
Thank
And
you. Love and life to everyone.
yes, I've been your host, Anthony Morore. And together with Stacy, we are saying bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye.